At the beginning of the month, I downloaded every single popular budgeting app, and now that I got some experience using them, I'm going to be ranking them on a tier list where S is the top of the line, A is amazing, B is above average, C is below average, and then D is horrible. Almost every single one of these apps have a free version, with there only being a couple exceptions on this list, but there's a good reason why. What we're looking for today is a good user interface, simple, and then good features, but not over the top where it's too complicated. I'm not sponsored by any of these apps, and none of them are paying me to make this video. So let's get started with the first app on this list, and that's going to be EveryDollar. EveryDollar is a budgeting app created by Ramsey Solutions, which you probably could have guessed is Dave Ramsey's company, and it uses something called zero-based budgeting. That's where every single dollar that's coming in your bank account has a purpose. So if you're doing it right by the end of the month, you should have every dollar either go into savings, investments, debt repayment, or any expenses. But the point is to leave no unallocated money. So if you go ahead and take a look at the app, it has a pretty simple user interface. You can see all your different spend categories as soon as you open the app. But the only problem that I have is if you want to link bank accounts, get spending insights, or even set up reoccurring transactions, you're going to have to pay for premium, which is going to be $17.99 a month or $79.99 a year. So not a cheap budgeting app by any measure. I found on Reddit that a couple users reported the app would crash and they would have logouts for no reason. And then the way the app approaches budgeting with zero-based, it might not be the best for someone that has a pretty irregular income. I'm going to go ahead and throw this budgeting app in the A tier. It's very good, but unless you pay for it, it's pretty much useless. Next up on the list, we have Rocket Money. You've probably seen them before because of all their ads that they run on the internet.
This designer bag if you can prove to me that you know your finances. Saying you have 13 subscriptions, which is costing you around $270 a month. What?
And this is designed to be an all-in-one finance app, but what it's most known for is seeing and then canceling unwanted subscriptions. The way that it's supposed to work is that you connect whatever bank accounts or credit cards you have, and then it will automatically scan, tell you what upcoming charges you have, and all your active subscriptions. It also gives you credit score and then net worth monitoring, as well as some basic budget tools. I personally do not like this app. This is another one that you have to pay for to really get any use out of it. Premium is $6 a month, but in my opinion, it's not really worth it. There's way too much going on. It's not really a good budgeting app. It's kind of just a worse version of Credit Karma with budgeting features. And also the appeal of this app is it for to automatically find and then cancel subscriptions for you. But I actually used this a couple years ago and it didn't really cancel any subscriptions for me. And it got a lot of reoccurring subscriptions wrong. For example, I did a credit card payment one time and then it thought that was a reoccurring subscription. And a lot of people have trouble canceling their account. A couple years ago, I had the same problem. I canceled my subscription, but they kept billing me for like another 8 months. I reached out to them and they reimbursed me. But it's just kind of ironic that an app that is supposed to cancel subscriptions have a lot of people unable to cancel their premium subscription to Rocket Money. So this app is trying to do too much. It's not simple enough, and I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in the D tier. Next on this list, we have YNAB, or You Need a Budget. This might be the most popular one on this list, and while it doesn't offer a free version, it does give you a free trial that lasts a little over a month, and you get it as soon as you download the app. You don't even have to put in your credit card. This is going to be one of the pricier options, with it being $14.99 a month or $109 a year, but a lot of people are still happy paying that because of all the features it gives you. This also uses zero-based budgeting, and it automatically syncs with all your credit cards and then bank accounts, so you don't have to manually enter transactions. It gives you net worth tracking, spending breakdowns, and expense versus income charts, but it does it in a very clean and understandable way, unlike other companies like Rocket Money. The user interface is also very clean. You can also invite your partner, making it a great app for couples. The only con is that the app is a little bit on the clunky side, and there might be a bit of a learning curve when you first download it. And then of course that price is pretty steep too, but if you can overlook that, I think this is one of the best options on this list. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the S tier. Next up, we have the Fleur or Flower budgeting app. And this is a relatively new budgeting tool, but what it does is meant to make budgeting more fun by giving you an aesthetic app. This would definitely appeal to probably a younger female, maybe a teenage girl, or someone in their early 20s that wants to have it like match the aesthetic of their phone or whatever. My little brother's girlfriend actually wanted to start budgeting, and this is the app that I got her set up on, just because it makes budgeting a little bit more fun, and there's like a bunch of cute icons and spending charts and stuff. But at its core, it's just a basic expense and then income tracker. The only downside to this app is that it does not automatically sync with any of your bank or credit cards, so you're going to have to manually put transactions in. Now, if you have premium, you can set up reoccurring transactions, which can save you some time, but there's still going to be a lot of manual data entry, which after a while can be frustrating to do. But I think that might actually be better for younger people. For example, my brother's girlfriend, I wanted her to get this one because I want her to actually go inside the app and then manually track everything that she's spending. That way she can kind of feel the pain of all those unnecessary purchases she's making, and then it builds good money and budgeting habits. To get premium, you only have to pay between $10 and $20 once, and then you have it for life. Overall, a pretty solid budgeting app for the right person, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the B tier. Next up, we have the budget app spending tracker. This one actually has really good reviews, but I personally hated it. I think that they're trying to do way too much. The account syncing is just way too complicated. There's all these random buttons, and then at first I thought you had to put in your stocks manually, but apparently you can do it automatically if you buy premium, but they don't really advertise that, which is kind of confusing. The whole app is just a little bit too confusing, so I wouldn't recommend this one. It is only $5 a year for premium, but you are getting what you pay for, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this one down in the C tier. Moving on to the next app on this list, we have the Budget app, and this is essentially just a better version of Rocket Money. This is meant to be an all-in-one finance app. It allows you to do things like track all your expenses, create a budget, view your net worth, and then your credit score as well. And then it also allows you to view upcoming transactions and cancel your subscriptions, as well as negotiate your bills to lower payments too. It has the calendar thing, which I didn't like with previous apps, but they somehow do it and make it look pretty good. I think there's a bit of a learning curve because it's a little bit more complex than just a simple budgeting app, but it does have an amazing user interface, and it's essentially better than Rocket Money in every single way. It's going to run you about $50 a year, which isn't too bad. And I think I'm going to throw this one at the back of the S tier just because it's pretty cheap and it gives you such a good user interface and so many options. But if you just want a simple budgeting app, this probably isn't going to be the one for you. Next up on the list, we have an app called Goodbudget. This is the only app on this list that uses the traditional envelope system of budgeting. So way back in the day, the way that a lot of our grandparents and then great-grandparents would budget is actually get physical envelopes and then write transportation, grocery, dining, whatever their expenses were. And then at the beginning of the month, put cash inside of there and only spend the cash that's inside of those physical envelopes. And that was good maybe 200 years ago, but I don't know why you would still want to do this and why you would want to turn it into an app. It's also pretty much impossible to use if you have the free version because you have a limited number of envelopes as well as transactions. But even the premium version isn't very good. It has limited features, but it doesn't even do a good job of being a simple budgeting app. And it's $10 a month or $80 a year, so it's not necessarily even cheap. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the D tier. Next up on this list, we have Copilot. After using all these different apps, this is the one that I settled on. I moved over from EveryDollar to this one, and the reason why is because it puts all of your finances into one app, and it's the only app that I know that's been able to successfully pull this off. With this app, you're able to view your cash flow, all your linked accounts, your investments, your transactions. There's a dashboard to sum it all up. It has very simple categories. It then gives you all your reoccurring transactions. I mean, just look at the user interface of the app. It's absolutely stunning. It looks like it was made by Stark Industries. And in my opinion, it's pretty much the perfect money app. The only drawback is that there is not a free version. You're going to have to pay $13 a month or $95 a year, which isn't too bad. It's cheaper than other budgeting apps like EveryDollar. This app helps me understand my finances way better and saves me a lot of money, so I'm happy to pay that annual fee. As you would expect, I'm going to throw Copilot into the S tier. The next budgeting app takes a little bit different approach to budgeting, and that is the Weekly app. You probably could have guessed it, but the Weekly app focuses on your spending each week. And there's definitely some pros and cons to this. You can argue that weekly budgeting helps you understand your finances a little bit better, and you can also make adjustments to your budget a lot easier. But in my opinion, reviewing your budget at the end of every single week is a little bit exhausting, and I think that it can also lead to overspending because it resets every week and you're not going to have to worry about your transactions from the previous week, opposed to a traditional budgeting app where you're looking over your whole month of spend. It's also a little bit harder to stick to this budget because if you have an irregular expense, you're tracking it by the week, so it's going to be pretty easy to go outside of it. And you also need to pay for premium to pretty much see most of the apps, so I wasn't actually able to get a full grasp of it. The UI is decent, but overall, I'm not a huge fan of this app or weekly budgeting, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it in the C tier. Next up on the list, we have Monify, and this is just a basic income and expense tracker, but what sets it apart is the user interface. When you open the app up, you have two big buttons at the bottom. You have income and then expense. And then there's also a bunch of different icons you can press to make your expenses a little bit easier. The reason that I don't really like this is that one, you can't link any live bank accounts or credit cards, so you're going to have to go in and manually put all your expenses and income. The free version is also very limited with there being no reoccurring transactions or custom categories. It's okay, but it's not really my cup of tea. And for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and throw it down in the C tier. Next up on the list, we have an app called Honeydue, and this is a basic income and expense tracker, but it's made specifically for couples. You can see exactly what you and your partner are spending, set goals for each other, And also there's in-app communication, which is a little bit funny. A big plus of this app is that it's completely free, which is so far really the only app that is decent with a free version. I believe all of the budgeting apps that are in the A or S tier, like EveryDollar, You Need a Budget, or Copilot, have a partner feature, but of course you're going to have to pay for those apps. So if you want a free app for you and your partner, this might be the best one, but I personally would rather just pay a little bit extra and then go with someone like Copilot. I'm tempted to put it in the A tier, but I think it belongs closer to the B tier. Next up, we have Walletapp, and apparently that's one word for them. And this is another really solid budgeting tool. You can set monthly, weekly, or even daily budgets, track all your expenses and income through Live Sync, which will also show you all your upcoming payments and subscriptions. And then it gives you some cool charts and then cash flow insights as well. Some people have complained about connecting retirement and then student loan accounts, and then also some problems reaching customer service. The user interface is good, but it takes some time to get used to. And also if you want more advanced features like bank sync as well as unlimited bank accounts or credit cards, the ability to add a partner, or extra reports and labels, you are going to have to pay for premium, which is $5.99 a month, $21.99 a year, or probably the best option, $49.99 for a lifetime subscription. So overall, a super solid budgeting app. I'm split whether I should put it in the A or B tier, but I'm just going to throw it up in the A tier because it is one of the more affordable options on this list. Next up, we have Dollarbird. This focuses on calendar-based budgeting. As soon as you open up the app, you're going to see your big calendar as well as all your transactions, and that's definitely going to take some getting used to. There's also no bank account synchronization, so you're going to have to manually put all your transactions into it. And this calendar page here is pretty much all that you're going to get. There's not really any charts or cool features that you get with it, and I don't really like the whole calendar-based budgeting thing. I think this is more tailored to businesses actually, and they are going to try to charge you $3.99 a month or $39.99 a year for premium. I'm not a huge fan, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this app in the D tier. We're getting pretty close to the end here, but one of the last apps that we have is MoneyMG.R, manager, whatever. So the first thing that I noticed when I open up the app is that I don't really like the user interface. They have the calendar thing as well as daily spending, but the whole thing just looks a little bit clustered. Their expense graph is okay, but there's really nothing that makes this app stand out. There's also no bank sync, so you're going to have to manually go in and put all your transactions and income. I don't think it's as bad as Dollarbird. I'm tempted to throw it in the D tier, but I'll just leave it up in the C tier for now. I wasn't going to, but I decided to add Monarch to this list because it's just so popular. It wouldn't let me try it unless I put in my credit card info and activate a free trial for a week, which I didn't want to do. It was $99 for a year or $14.99 for a month, and it also makes you set up an account with your email. I didn't try it, but people seem to really like this app. It has great reviews, so if you're willing to pay for it, then that's fine. There's around 10 apps that I downloaded, but I didn't end up including on this list because there wasn't a free version, and there's probably a lot more that I missed out there, but at the end of the day, the best budgeting app is the one that you're actually going to use.